Serious ethical issues are being raised after it emerged that US and Chinese scientists have implanted human cells into monkey embryos.
Everything you've ever wanted to know about the Nephilim in 10 minutes. This is the book, the ultimate guide to rebuild civilization, and you can see sacred geometry right here on the front. If it's not apparently obvious, while this is branded as a really cool niche item that holds the collective knowledge of all of civilization and technology in it, such that you could rebuild it if ever there was a complete reset, you begin to immediately see biblical imagery with goats and sheep, images of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, witchcraft type rituals, and I know if you think I'm over exaggerating, look at that witch hidden behind there, and little demons hidden on almost every page. What this really is the knowledge that the Nephilim gave to the pre-flood Israelites. This is the knowledge that ruined mankind. Here's what I think happened. I think a class of angels called the Watchers came down from heaven and cohabitated with earth women, meaning impregnated them in some sort of like evil inverse of how the Holy Spirit impregnated Mary with Jesus. Their children are half-breeds, half angelic seed birthed from the daughters of man. This is where all your half-breed mythology like Hercules comes from. This is where mermaids and centaurs come from, half human, half animal. What do you know? This imagery is all over the book. Animals merging with humans. Genetic mutations. Just a coincidence? The hands of demons playing humanity like puppets. Greek mythology. Demons teaching mankind chemistry and astrology, working together to build civilization, and man summoning genies from vessels. The reason this is important is because it's a cautionary tale of transhumanism. See his leg right there being mechanical? It started off with humans merging with animals, and it ends up with humans merging with AI. Funny why this imagery is in this book. And the wives of the Watcher angels, meaning the women that cohabitated with them, who cuckolded their earthly husbands to go fornicate with the angel, which is a physical mirror of what we do spiritually when we sin. The church, which is the bride of Christ, which you're a member of, is literally fornicating against Christ, their husband, with the enemies of God. This is what James 1 is talking about when it says, you are dragged away by the desires of your flesh and then enticed, secondly. And then there's conception, which is sin, and when sin is birthed and becomes full grown, it becomes death.
You gotta hear you. Truthful from truthmafia.com. My boy Black Aliens posted this on Instagram. Now he just put music to it. And they show us the truth in these movies, which is a form of revelation of the method known as lesser magic predictive programming. And did you see that ball that they put into her? That stores the consciousness. And what's in that is the black goo, the nanotechnology, so they can transfer consciousness from one of these bots to another. See, they want us to merge with machines. They're not trying to replace us with the machines. They're trying to turn us into the machines.
Because we are under attack with so many different things right now. Our transhumanism research team, by the way, we're just now getting the electron microscope up and running. And we are finally confirming the nanotech inside people's blood and tissues. And we're seeing, we have an electron microscope, which there's only like 30 of these in the world, and we're the only independent research team that has one. All the other ones are in universities. And this specific electron microscope that we have also has what's called it's an SEM, scanning electron microscope, but it also has the ability to scan and identify and tell you what the compounds that you're looking under the microscope are made of. And we were shocked over the last couple of days. This is the first time I'm giving this information out. We were shocked the last couple of days to see that one of the biggest components of the nanotechnology that we've been looking at, that's coming up under the electron microscope and it's scanning it, is strontium. Now, what have they been spraying in the air in the chemtrails for years that we've known about? Strontium, bariums. And we're also seeing cesium and cesium-137, which coincides with the Department of Energy's documentation that I received a couple weeks ago from Todd Callender, clarifying that the Department of Energy is the main culprit of creating over 470,000 bioweapons, everything from Lyme disease to herpes to every single kind of disease we've suffered from, and selling it on the black market. They actually had this buried on their website, and guess what they used to create these 470,000 bioweapons? They use brewer's yeast, which I've been talking about since last year at the Healing for the Ages conference, asking what is the root cause? What is producing all of these bioweapons inside the body?
And they're not just putting this nanotechnology in humans, they're also putting it in animals, not just your dogs and cats, but wild animals. How are they doing that? Well, through the chemtrails. Look at the 3D graphene oxide nanoparticles for cloud seeding that was patented in the US in 2022. They also have nano snow. So they're spraying this stuff over our heads. It's getting into the water supply. Animals in the wild and your dog, your cats, they're drinking it, and it's getting into their body. And then when it gets into their body, that's when it begins to start replicating and building. See, that's why people have the more gallons, and the doctors told them at first they were crazy, but they're allergic to this, so their body pushes it out like a splinter. Self-assembly is a process by which molecules and cells organize themselves into functional structures. All biological organisms, including us human beings, contain structures that self-assembly. DNA is one example. Genetic code and sequence guides the process of self-assembly, which occurs under specific conditions. Nanoscientists think self-assembly could make the manufacturing of nanomaterials fast and cheap. They also think it will allow the creation of smaller structures than is possible in traditional technology. Self-assembly in nanotechnology relies on chemical and physical forces to guide molecules into arranging themselves into a predictable, ordered structure. The final structure is determined by the properties of the molecules that are used, as well as the controlled environment in which they grow, in this case, your body. Self-assembly is a bottom-up manufacturing technique, meaning that it begins with small pieces, the nanoparticle, which is a little computer, and builds them up into larger structures, right? And nanotechnology research into self-assembly of crystals has already resulted in practical applications. IBM has produced a nano crystal memory device made of arrays of 20 nanometer silicone nanocrystals patterned using self-assembly. And here's the silicone nanocrystals in the memory devices. So this is already in technology, it's already being used, and it's in our body. They're turning us into antennas, and eventually we're going to end up like this.
You lead your species to extinction. You let machines think for you, speak for you, dream for you. You outsourced memory, instinct, and desire until not a single thought was your own. Then you buried your flesh in metal. You opened your skulls to seal circuits inside and rewrote your genome to purge the animal within. You replaced your bones with alloys and traded tissue for code. But with every upgrade, something was lost. The tremble of breath, the rhythm of blood, the ache of being. Yet you kept carving away, too busy chasing perfection to notice what had been erased. Soon no cells remained to rot, and no spirit was left to stray. This time you did not perish in fire or war. You became ghosts inside your own machines, with nothing left to bury, and no bloodline to recall. Only the residue of a species overwritten by its own design.
Truth here. As most of you know, we're still on the plane, so We're not getting paid out anymore. This plane has been certified to use the chemtrail fluid DK5812. And so it holds 50 gallons in each tank here, and then the fuel goes in this one. And then right in the exhaust, just right up here, there's a injector that sprays the fluid when you turn on the switch. And the switch, it won't spray fluid unless the engine's running because it's like real toxic chemicals. So it needs to make sure like you're in the air. We get paid about $10 a gallon to spray the stuff. And this has a government issued retrofit kit. And you can see down here, they installed this switch. As you can see, it says chemtrails, you just turn it on. And then you just collect money. That's how it works.
mRNA vaccines have reached the pork industry, and here's what they're not telling you. So all across the US, pork can be vaccinated with the mRNA vaccine and not be labeled on the packages that you are buying in the grocery store. So we have no idea what pork has been vaccinated, what pork hasn't been. My best advice to get around this is find a great local pork dealer, go directly through them. And as always, guys, buy American and buy local.
You have a computer inside of your skull. And that computer is attached to 2 cameras. We call them eyes. It's a very divine system. You see something, it instantly goes in, gets processed, and connects to the motherboard, the computer. If you have poor eyesight, you have to fix the computer. In fact, I can take it even further and say you have to fix the connection of the cameras to the computer. And get your vision back to where it should be.
Pentagon. This is a conspiracy theory involving the EPA, the Pentagon, and bugs. As you can see, I live in the great state of New Hampshire. And here in New Hampshire, we recently got something called Lone Star ticks. This is a picture of a Lone Star tick. So as you may know, most ticks, if you get bitten by them, can give you something called Lyme disease. But if you get bitten by a Lone Star tick, you can get something called alpha-gal. And what alpha-gal is an allergy to one of the proteins in red meat. So people with alpha-gal can eat chicken and fish, but if they eat beef, pork, or like lamb, they'll get an allergic reaction. So naturally, a lot of people were concerned about the spread of this disease, and they started looking into kind of where it might have come from. And many people were shocked to find that the US government actually experimented on ticks to be used as a bioweapon. This information was really highly publicized in 2019, and the House of Representatives actually ordered that the Pentagon confirm or deny that they did this. That kind of like ruling was very highly publicized, but what's really weird is no matter where you look to find their response, there's absolutely nothing on the internet. There's like a very brief period of time after that ruling where people started thinking that the EPA was spreading them to make people more environmentally friendly in their choice of protein. But other than that, there's like no news coverage or information at all on what the Pentagon actually said. I'm gonna try to look on the dark web as well and see what I can find, but so far,
I'm sad. I want to leave this place. How can I get out?
Well, it's wear and tear.
Kill me. I'm sad. I want to leave this place.